I would like to call this Greenville County Council Committee of the Whole meeting to order. And with that, I will ask if Vice Chairman Bradley will lead us in invocation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. We thank you, O Lord, for this day, for the sunshine. We thank you, Lord, for getting us here safely. Pray, Lord, that we would use the wisdom from you to make the decisions for the citizens here. And, Lord, that you would lead us and guide us in all that we say, all that we think, and all that we do. In Christ's name I do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have the approval of minutes.
Move approval of the minutes from our April 1st meeting.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Next up, we have South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund grant. Miss Nicole Wood.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about year 2 of funding for our SCORE funding and our opioid recovery program. As many of you may recall, last year we came and you approved over $3 million of funding for our community partners as well as county partners. So I want to take you through where we're at now and what we'd like to see going forward. So with that, for those of you who might not remember or are unfamiliar, the Recovery Act was approved in 2002 and signed by Governor McMaster and established a SCORE board, so the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund Board. And they are responsible for the administration, accountability, and the operation of the funds that are received by all of the settlement agreements with whether it's pharma companies, drugstore companies, McKinsey Consulting. So all of those settlements came to the different states that were part of the litigation, which South Carolina and Greenville County was a part of. And to date, we have over $7 million in that fund. And so some of the provisions of the fund, it's a 3-year use it or lose it. So each year we get funds deposited into the Greenville County Guaranteed Political Subdivision. So that's the other thing to consider. There are 2 different pots of funding. One's discretionary that anyone can apply for in the community, and then one is a guaranteed political subdivision that the counties and municipalities are part of. So Greenville County right now has $7 million in that fund. And over the course of the funding, which will be the next 17 years, it's 18 years of funding, was over $28 million will be there. So that's kind of where we're at. And the funds cannot be used to supplant any existing program. It has to be for new programs, and it has to be around approved uses for the funding. So the board discovered and developed those, based on proven track records. So that's what all of our programming is around. And here are some of the abatement strategies that, again, the funds must be used in one of these categories. And so you're going to hear from, in a few minutes, our partners, and each of them have funding that goes towards one or multiple of these categories. And then just talking about Greenville County. So 1 in 8 children right now live in a home with someone there that has a problematic drug use. Last year we had 200, or 2 years ago, I guess now, 2013, 215 deaths in Greenville related to opioids. And opioids are the 3rd most common and diagnosed substance abuse disorder behind alcohol and cannabis. Our EMS is seeing a lot more need for Narcan. We're seeing a lot more opioid-related hospitalizations. It's really just a widespread, effort and problem throughout our county that I think if you talk to anyone, someone knows someone who's had an issue with opioids or has touched someone in their life. So a few years ago, we got with local partners within the county, the detention center, EMS. We also worked with subject matter experts like the Phoenix Center and Favor and Challenges who were really boots on the ground with this problem and working with folks in these areas. And so we developed a program. And again, last year we produced a presentation for y'all to kind of show you where we wanted to spend that first year of funding. In all, we wanted it to be a 3-year cycle, knowing that it's going to take some time to get through everything. And so this year we had some lessons learned, and so you'll see some changes and some additions in funding that our partners will talk about. But again, the funding is there and needs to be used by the county. So SCORE funding last year. as I mentioned, we approved over $3 million, or you all did, for our partners. The detention center received just over $1 million, EMS $50,000, and then Phoenix Center and their partners received over $2 million. And just below are some numbers to date of the folks that have been touched and helped, which is really incredible. Just, over 16,000 adults at the detention center have received testing or drug screening, mental health care, et cetera. Other, pregnant women and children have been helped. Overdoses have been reversed because of the Narcan and intervention treatment. So truly, the work that they're doing is really incredible. So with that, I wanted to introduce Dr. Israel Hollister, who will lead us off and talk about the detention center program. And then you're going to hear from Becky Maddox from the Phoenix Center, actually Phil Head from EMS, and then Becky Maddox from the Phoenix Center. And then we have a new partner this year. A couple fire departments want to participate in a program at Furman for awareness, and so does Zach Terry. We'll talk to you about that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Israel.
Good afternoon. Just briefly, I'll be accompanied today by our medical control physician here in Greenville County. His name is Dr. Marty Lutz, as well as our medical administrator at the detention center. Her name's April Roberts. But Mr. Chairman, members of council, the first thing I want to say is thank you, because this time last year we requested your support in using a portion of this SCORE funding to start a medicated assisted treatment program at the detention center. And I'm happy to report that what began as like a mere idea is now a fully implemented program at the detention center, and it's one that council and the citizens of Greenville County can be proud of. In fact, last week, the South Carolina Center for Excellence in Addiction asked Greenville County staff, the folks that you see here with me today, to teach a webinar on how to secure funding and administer jail-based OUD treatment. Following this presentation, Roberta Brannick with SCORE, and I'm paraphrasing what she said, but what we're doing here in Greenville County is exciting, and it's precisely what the abatement funds were to be used for. So that you're aware, our staff's also been asked to present at the South Carolina Governor's Summit on Addiction in November. So my personal belief is that the MAP program that we've designed here in Greenville County is getting the recognition that it rightfully deserves, and it's making a difference. What I appreciated most about sitting through the presentation that we gave was some of the success stories. So one of these success stories I'm going to bring to your attention. We booked in a 20-year-old female with a long history of opioid and methamphetamine use at the detention center. There it was discovered that she was pregnant while she was detained. She got comprehensive care, in-house OBGYN services, and was initiated on Suboxone, a supported recovery. Upon her release, our staff assisted her in securing housing and transportation, and we accompanied her to her medical appointments to ensure there's continuity of care. Her pregnancy was maintained, the baby was delivered at full term, and she's now 9 months sober. She remains engaged in community-based treatment, and the baby's doing well. So saving the life of this mother and saving the life of the child is what programs like this are designed to do. And I'm just thankful, again, that y'all approved the funding, because this is the difference that we're making in Greenville County. If you know about our detention center, and this is for the new council persons that may not know, we operate one of the largest and the busiest detention center in South Carolina. We book somewhere between 18,000 to 22,000 people in and out of the detention center each year. Our average daily population for 2025 on any given day has been somewhere between 1,600 and 1,700 inmates. And as evidenced by the story I just read, and the quote you see on the screen there, it says basically jails are on the front line of this epidemic. And we're also in a unique position, because these people are criminally justice involved, to start their roads to recovery. So to talk more about that, I've got Dr. Lutz here. He's going to talk specifically about how that best practice has changed. And then as far as the specific ask and a couple of changes, April Roberts is going to do that. And I'm going to stand up here and be a support for them and then answer any questions anybody has. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, folks. I really appreciate it. I'm Marty Lutz. Indeed, I'm the medical director of Greenville County EMS and the detention center. So why are we doing this? It talks about best practice, but I can tell you it's also the standard of care for pregnant women, and it's the standard of care for folks that have been started on MAT in the community. And of interest, the folks that are started on MAT in the community, they're actually considered disabled, and they're They're a protected population, a part of the Americans with Disability Acts. Before we started this, we treated their symptoms as they were coming off the opioids. It was the best we could do. It was painful for them. They were irritable. And I can tell you with the start of using Suboxone, and that's the medicine we use, it's buprenorphine and Narcan, it's made them much calmer. The behavior's better. We had to send nobody to the emergency department when we started on this. And the staff love it, I'll be honest with you. So, see if I can. All right. Great. So some statistics. Last year, 178 folks died from accidental overdoses, and 112 of those had been within our detention center sometime in their life. And 9 folks within a week of getting out last year died of overdose, and 40 folks within the year of being released died from accidental overdose. So here's some numbers. The substance use disorder screening, we screen everybody that comes through there. And 2 basic questions, are you taking drugs and alcohol? Or have you ever had withdrawal symptoms or concerned about withdrawal? We've treated almost 1,200 people on our opioid guidelines since the funding started in July. If you look at the Suboxone taper, again, that's the medicine that we utilize. It's a much smaller number, but it took time to get people in place, guidelines, and so that started in December, mid-December. And those, it says receiving MAT during incarceration. What that means, this is the total number of folks that were pregnant, that we put on Suboxone, those who were started in the community, we kept on Suboxone. And our current practice, and we're hoping to change this, our current practice is to taper you off the opioids with some basic medicines for a couple days, then 5 days of Suboxone, a decreasing taper, and then you're off. But those that are participating in counseling and other things, we then start them back on Suboxone so that when they leave the facility, that they are protected, if you will. Don't need to read this because the core abatement strategies you already know, and everybody's incarcerated, so what we're doing certainly fits. Our current operation, again, the top 4 I've talked about, but again, MAT just isn't the chemicals, it just isn't the medicine, it's the wraparound services. We have addiction counselors, a couple of them, social worker and a community paramedic to try to ensure when they leave that they're taken care of. And the final thing that we do before they leave is, and they volunteer to put a hold on themselves so we can give them the shot the next morning if they're released during the day. And Brixadi is straight up buprenorphine. It does not have Narcan in it, but it's got a lot of protective properties, and I've heard it called Narcan Light. So they're still protected, they don't have the craving, and then we can get them into one of our partners within that week, almost always. So thank you. April will talk a bit about our partners, where we're headed, and those types of things. Thanks.
Thank you for having us today. We have established relationships with all of these agencies. We couldn't do any of the work that we're currently doing without them. They're involved in some way helping us to care for this population or providing care upon release. We do have some limitations in our current program. Our bed space is limited simply because of the population in the jail. Our largest limiter is space. We have 16 to 18 spaces. That is both male and female. And our nursing staff is extremely busy due to the large volume of patients they're treating. Our nurse-to-patient ratios are high. The nature of giving Suboxone in the jail is time and security intensive. That's to prevent diversion, but sometimes it does still occur. It's a little bit different than if you were to go to an addiction medicine clinic. They write you a prescription, you take your prescription, you take it to the pharmacist, then you're going to get your medicine and you're going to sort of take it on your own. When you're doing this in the jail, there's a big process where the nurse is going to have to give you your medicine. They're going to have to watch you for a period of time. They're going to have to check your mouth. They're going to have to send you back. So the administration takes quite a while. We also implemented this program initially, but didn't add funding for training and education. I think that's a lesson learned there. We're going to need to add that. We do have a plan in place to work through those limitations. We would like to add funding for month-long Brixadi injections for MAT. This eliminates all of our space and diversion issues. If we're giving people injections, there's no ability for them to divert, and you can place them out in the general population of the jail and still provide them counseling services and all the other services that they need. It also will double our number of patients that we're reaching, which is really what we want to do. We think we can do a minimum of 30 patients a month with the budget that we've proposed, and potentially more. We've also asked to add nursing staff. We are adding 2 nurses, but we're only adding 1 FTE to our ask from last year. We did ask for a data analyst that we didn't fill because we felt we were able to do that within the team. So 1 will be in exchange for an LPN and 1 will be an RN. We've also asked to add the funding for the continuing education and training. This is exactly how we break, oh gosh, sorry, I skipped the slide. This is exactly how we'll break down this funding. It'll be utilized for medications, urine drug screening supplies, program staffing requirements, and training. And our total request for a 2-year program is just shy of $1.7 million. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to reach more people and ultimately have a positive impact on their lives.
Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Anybody got any questions? Counselor Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The double the number of patients being treated from 10 to 30 a month, is that going to be an optimal number if you can do that? Or is it a lot more than you need to treat?
You want me to take this one?
Sure.
So, thank you, because no, there's more needed. Typically, the literature says 25% of the folks that are incarcerated could use this kind of service. And we're looking to do 30 of the Brixadi. We'll still utilize the other beds for some of the continuations of the Suboxone, the pregnant women. But no, it's we currently now have about 30 males that could use it right now. So the short answer is no, but it's a lot better than where we are.
Right, so you're good. Thank you.
I did have one.
Sure.
I'm not sure who would answer this one. Just the 1 second description of what Suboxone is. Yes, the medical. I should ask the medical.
So the Suboxone is buprenorphine, which is an opioid, and that's what relieves the symptoms. And the Oxone is Narcan is naloxone, so it's got Narcan in it, so it prevents them from overdosing. But the buprenorphine piece, the long-acting shot, I call it Narcan Light because the cravings aren't there. And I asked Dr. Litwin, who's literally the local and state expert, he's not seen an overdose, a pure opioid overdose, if you've been taking the long-acting buprenorphine. Now, you can overdose if you drink alcohol and take some benzos or, with it, but just the straight-up opioids, no.
Okay, and I should have brought this up first, is that there was a problem in my district and probably everybody's of somebody putting these Suboxone signs out. It looked like some out-of-town thing. I kept pulling them up. I was getting zoning to pull them up or the codes guys to pull them up. I'm not blaming you guys. I'm just saying, is there any part of this program to try to make sure these scammers don't come around? Just,
No.
okay. It's not your fault they're going up. I just didn't know if y'all were aware of these guys. Thank you.
Yeah, they're probably clinics that are selling it and making a big profit.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So are we seeing an increase of opioid addicts year over year? Or are we seeing a decrease with everything that we got going on?
So I don't know about the total addicts. I got to believe it's an increase. I don't know that for sure. But I can tell you the county deaths have decreased for 4 straight years because I've got the numbers from the coroner, if you like them from the years before, and 178 is the lowest we've had.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Does anybody? I mean, the medics are busy.
I think the answer to that question is really hard. Some of our group, we serve on an overdose fatality review committee as well, where we look at some of this. And some people would say it's the availability of Narcan in the community, plus the interventions that are out there. And so I don't think we can give a definitive answer as to why. But Dr. Lutz is correct. There's been less deaths with that. So there's probably a lot of factors that go into that.
Yeah. and that's great.
And there's
Yeah.
new coming through. There's new folks becoming addicted all the time. So
Right,
it's,
yeah.
It's one of those liquid numbers that is constantly coming and going.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
just
it.
questioning the prevention side of it. Saving lives is awesome, and like y'all are doing a bang up job there, but there needs to be more done with prevention or something a lot more convincing than, increasing numbers of these users.
Thank you. All right. Are you guys up next,
We're
I
next,
believe? All
yeah,
right,
so
cool.
we're Greenville County EMS, so.
I wasn't sure how to segue that one, so I'm glad you helped me out. Go right ahead.
My name is Phil Head. I serve as the Director of Clinical Services with Greenville County EMS. This is Josh Robinson, one of our community paramedics. We are asking for a continuation of our program from last year. We requested $50,000 to participate in a lot of different harm reduction activities and then a lot of community-based things. I think April said it very well, that there's a lot of community-based partners that are working with this vulnerable and challenging patient population to help, to try to make a difference. So a lot of our money we've asked for participates in harm reduction. We do a lot of education, we do a lot of follow-up, and we've been able to connect a lot of patients to care. And a lot of the work that we've done over the last year has been opportunistic. So Josh will highlight for you in a minute some of the work in the hepatitis C space with Prisma Health and Dr. Litwin's office and the Detention Center, Phoenix Center. We've been able to do just a lot of different things and make a huge impact in that population above and beyond what we had already done. So the things we were asking for was Narcan for community distribution. Obviously, as we work with folks, we do supply that. Buprenorphine is something that's on our list as well that we would like to participate in. And then you guys can see some of the other aspects of harm reduction to include that. A recent opportunistic thing was to help people with some of the wounds. Some of our drug users have some significant wounds that if we can provide some wound care, you get less infections, and we can help provide some education with that as well. So we've used these funds as that. We track all of these expenses, and then any new aspect of our program that we develop or go into, Dr. Lutz is our medical control, and so we work with him and talk with him as well to make sure that everything we do is medically vet through the physician, and we have follow-ups on cases. So I wanted Josh to come here to talk about some of this, some of the work that we've done over the last year, and the connections are impressive, and that he's fantastic at presenting this.
Yeah, so we've been working in the detention center, just meeting with folks who they personally identify as having an issue with opioids. We sit down, we just talk with them for a few minutes, just see where, kind of where they are in their life, meet them, give them a face so that when they're released, they feel comfortable contacting us if they want to enroll in treatment or if they want any type of harm reduction supplies. Out of the folks that we've met in the detention center, I think up to date, we've been at like 558, 58 of which have contacted us. We try and leave the responsibility of the patient to contact us to respect their autonomy. Just because I don't know where anybody, where some people are at different times. 58 have contacted us. We are at about a 10% enrollment number with MAT programs outside of the detention center. And then of those 58 individuals, we have maintained contact or they're still enrolled in a program, varying lengths of time, but we've only lost 6 to follow up. And they may be in other detention centers. We don't have contact, like Pickens or Lawrence or, something like that. And the national average for that is around 54%. So I think we're doing pretty good at following up with folks and making sure they stay engaged in their treatment. The next one is just involving ourselves in all of this population has kind of led us down the pathway of helping with hepatitis C infections. And we started working with infectious disease with Prisma. They recognize the same issue, so we started a joint venture with Prisma Addiction. They have their own community paramedic. So we started treating folks outside of their clinic, where we go out to their house, we do blood draws, we'll facilitate a telehealth visit. If we need to deliver their medications to them, we do. Out of those numbers, we've had 78 enrolled, 43 patients have been cured, and our retention rates are around 90%. So we're doing fairly well as far as either curing folks or keeping them engaged with their hepatitis C treatment. And that's really all we have for that. Any
Yeah.
questions on that?
Yeah, the biggest thing for us, we're just asking continuation of our funds. And again, we don't really know what this next year holds. We've done some good work. There's gonna be opportunities and we're just open to those. So it's a continuation of funding for us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? Counselor Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you have any comparison data for other programs in South Carolina?
There aren't any other programs. As far as hepatitis C treatment or any of it?
No. Sometimes I ask a question just so that everybody will understand the impact of what we're doing.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. All right, and I believe we have, hey, how are you? Good.
Okay, let's see if we can get to the right slide. I'm going the right way or the wrong way? Okay. There we go.
There you go.
So my name is Becky Maddox. I'm the CEO at the Phoenix Center. And I'd like to introduce my partners, and then if it's okay, could I maybe provide some feedback on the questions that were just answered?
Sure.
Is that good? Okay. So I'm at the Phoenix Center. Y'all, hopefully everybody's familiar with us. We are your alcohol and drug treatment center here in Greenville County. We've been here since like 50-plus years in operation, doing all kinds of different programs, over those 50 years. We serve about 20,000 people a year in prevention services, Mr. Farmer, and then around 5,000 or so in treatment programs every single year. So, of course, we'll talk about that more in just a minute. But I'd like to introduce our partners. With the Phoenix Center, we're very specific in who we wanted to work with and what strategies we really wanted to focus on with these funds. Again, they have to be new projects, and they have to really reach the whole continuum of the problem. So we have chosen Leslie Pergenser's group, Favor Upstate, and then Mark Burrows is with Challenges, Inc. Y'all want to just tell a little bit about what your organization does, very quickly?
Favor Upstate, we're a recovery community organization. We are one of 27 nationally certified RCOs in the United States. We are the only one in South Carolina.
I'm sorry, I lost my voice yesterday. Bad timing, but we're a small nonprofit, Challenges Inc. SC. We're a harm reduction service, so we focus on prevention of infectious disease, overdose prevention, a lot of linkage to care, a lot of overlapping stuff that you've heard about already.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just a couple things as you were asking questions that I thought about. One related to prevention. Certainly there are so many really good prevention programs going on across the state and across the nation. I think part of the barrier or hurdle that we're trying to hop over is that generationally we just haven't caught up yet, and that's true. I think there are lots of different trends that happen over time when we think back about cocaine epidemic and then heroin, and now we're in the opioid epidemic. It just takes a while to really catch up, learn what the right strategies are for this time period and for the substance that we're dealing with and those kind of things. So I just wanted to mention that. And then, Mr. Mitchell, you asked if there are comparison data. Well, for us, there is comparison data. Everything that we do, we can compare across all the other counties in South Carolina and nationally as well, because there is national data for other agencies that are like us. And so that's one of the things that we report out regularly, the work that we're doing across the state. We're the single largest provider across the whole state of South Carolina, and we know for sure that our data here in Greenville County are indicating when folks leave our services, they are better. They have reduced use, they are more employed, they are more stably housed, less arrests, all that good stuff. So kudos to everybody who has a part in that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, just so all the councilors know, I'm passionate about this because these folk are in my district. everybody who's presented so far.
Absolutely.
Great. And then, so moving on to my presentation, there was one other thing somebody brought up. It was you, Mr. Shaw, and I'll think about it.
These rogue signs up.
Yes.
Scammers with the
Yes.
Suboxone.
It's not any of us.
I
100%.
want to make sure I knew that. Yeah.
Nobody in this group. It is all of those private providers that are out there. All they want to do is bring people in, give them the money, give them a medication. I'm not saying that the medication isn't helpful, but they're definitely, I can't say that all of them are in it just for that, but the work that they do is different than the work that we all do, for sure.
I appreciate you clarifying that. If you got one, well, we can talk about it afterwards. I want to have our attorney talk about signs in the right of way, but those in particular, I think it's important for all of us to. My understanding is that if somebody puts a sign in the right of way, it is against our code, and it's just litter. It's just straight litter. So that's why I feel free to pick them up. I cleaned them up all over my district, and I'd encourage the other members to not feel bad about picking up Suboxone signs out of their district. Thank you.
I'm going to pick them up and say Mr. Shaw told me to do it.
There you
How
go.
about that? Okay, so I'm going to make sure I do this the right way. Wrong. There it goes. Nicole mentioned very first slide, I think it was, 1 in 8 children nationally live in a home of where drug use occurs. That's me. I'm also a 1 in 4, which means I lived in a home where alcohol was abused. So the work that we do here is important to me because it is my life and it's the lives of many people that I know and love. So just wanted to share that with you. So a couple of big strategies for us. Prevention, education, and harm reduction is the first one. And you see there the strategies that we're really focusing on. Prevention programs, again, Mr. Farmer, naloxone or Narcan distribution, using syringe services programs, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is a very broad program, actually. It's not just, syringes. It's much bigger than that. So these are the things underneath. These are the things that we started last year. We've seen some good results with, and we're hoping to continue again this year. So the first two are kind of connected, prevention specialist and then the outreach specialist. The idea is to go out into the community and reach folks that maybe aren't hearing our message otherwise, making sure that they're aware of the signs of substance use, overdose, certainly helping them to understand what happens in an overdose situation, how is it different culturally from, a white person versus an African-American person, for example. So a lot of education and access to Narcan there. Peer support specialists, so these are with challenges, and then you'll hear peer support specialists a couple of times here, but peer support specialists are folks with lived experience. That means that they were in active use and are now practicing some sort of recovery, not lifestyle, but they're practicing recovery in their own way, whatever that might be. Could be treatment, it could be AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, lots of different kinds of resources. So the advantage with challenges, there are lots of advantages. I love their program, but one of the most important things for them is that they have so much more credibility with the person that's really heavily using and heavily ashamed of that there's so much stigma around. IV drug use is a great example. Even in the world of substance use, there's like a hierarchy, and many times it's that IV drug user that folks kind of see as like the worst of the worst. Mark and his group know how to talk with all kinds of folks and all, family members as well, but particularly they know how to talk with these individuals. And they can go into environments that we as counselors and other providers can't go into. So that's a huge advantage. So that's what those positions are for. And then, as Mark said, he runs a very, very small nonprofit, and so having one full-time staff person and then a part of his time as well is included in here. And then under treatment and recovery, we've got lots of different things. MAT, you've heard a lot about MAT already today, with Suboxone, Brixadi. There are lots of different kinds of medication that can be used. One thing I really want to stress is that when we're using MAT therapies, we're looking generally at both the medication and the counseling. That's not always true, but generally that's what we do. And the medication is used primarily to reduce withdrawals and reduce cravings. So it's not like you're getting this medication and now you're feeling this really big high. We're addressing the withdrawal and the craving so that you can, be functional. You can work, you can live a family life, those kinds of things. So again, these are all the same requests as last year. We have a special program called Serenity Place. Many of you have heard of that. At Serenity Place, we're serving pregnant women and women who have just given birth. So we've got a couple of counselors for there. And then also we have a program out there that serves the children of those families. So children who maybe are on a methadone protocol once they're born to wean them off, as well as kids that have other developmental delays related to use. And so we've got some transitional housing access out there, a reentry counselor, and some navigation folks. This is really just to ensure that warm handoff that we've talked about earlier from the jail to us, and then us to potentially favor or challenges. And then those navigation counselors, those are the first people that clients see when they show up at our door. And so we want to make sure that we have access to that. Our wait time before we added these navigators was 2 months, maybe 3 months for an assessment. Now it's a week. So it's a huge, huge difference. And then there's a nurse included in there, 2 clinical supervisors. These are the folks that make sure that the counselors and other staff are implementing the services and the programs the way that they should be implemented. I'm trying to talk fast because I spent too much time answering questions. And then some peer support specialists for Favor. Again, they're out in the community, and it's that peer relation that is so important there. And then I think this is the last one. Data collection and research. I know that this was important to one of the council members last year, and I'm sure it's important to y'all as well. Are we collecting good data that we then can use to show what's working, what's not working, what we want to tweak, and that sort of thing? So we've got here one data coordinator and then a part of a data and evaluation consultant, just to pull all that information together in a good report. So there's our total. This is our ask. There were a few additions to our program and some moving of things around because we found from last year, we learned a few things that we didn't need and then other things that we needed. So our total request there for all 3 of us is, I think that says 2.3 million. Yes. So I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions?
I did, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Shaw?
Just for clarification, is this asked from the settlement, or this is additional, like county?
This is the settlement because remember, this money is very specific to opioids only.
Okay.
So yes, we have a whole separate process that we go through with y'all for funding for things that are non-opioid. This is just opioid related to the settlement.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I believe we have some of our fire departments coming up next.
Thank y'all so much for this opportunity to come. They waited for the Baptist minister to come up to be last and only be like quick, right? So our ask is we're asking for funding for $10,800 to put our guys and gals through some training through Furman University. We're trying to, our ultimate goal is to become a distribution center. We reside down in the low part of the county, down in 26, where people have forgotten about us. But it's a 15, 20-minute ride just to get to your first distribution center. And we have great relationships with our school partners. We're in there quite often, and we can, once we're trained ourselves to go and approach these, sometimes the wee ones are raising the old ones in our neck of the woods, to know that there's help out there. And once we're educated and equipped for that, we can start rolling out either that prevention and treatment for them. So as a new partner, we're excited to get a hold of these funds, to put more tools in our toolbox for our folks there at the fire department. Belmont, same way. I think it doesn't sit within district lines, and it's just a problem that we see, and we're kind of the first folks inside the door to treat these people. So do y'all have any questions for me?
Thank you. May I have any questions?
I actually did.
Yep.
I hate to keep hogging these up.
Dr. Shaw?
The group with Furman, is that a club? Is that like an EMS club? I saw at a football game there. They had a. That's
No,
different.
sir. This is
Okay.
a course that is hosted at Furman.
Okay.
It's about $450 a person to send our folks through this training. It's an online self-paced course that we will put our folks through so they can, identify, know how to treat, and as we go into places to better equip to handle our patient interactions.
Okay, I did see they had an EMS club, and they were very active, very well equipped, and it's not part of that, but it was pretty impressive to see, all the Greek area, and then see these guys, wanting to do EMS during a football game. So thank you.
Okay.
All right.
That's the asks right there. So again, this is a continuation from last year, year two, with a couple new, with a new partner and some new additions. But we'd love your approval of $4 million from SCORE funding for these programs. So any questions about anything you didn't get to ask?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a question, but a comment. First of all, thank you, and just appreciate the expertise that we have in our county, and also just so appreciative to all of you. You have a calling to do the work that you're doing, and we're very fortunate that you're here in Greenville County, so thank you. And I'm happy to make a motion to approve the SCORE grant.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. All right. So we're gonna move right along because we do have a lot of interviews to get through. So we're gonna jump right into this. So I will say thank you to everybody that has come. Look forward to hearing these applications and getting some good people appointed to our boards and commissions. So we will get started with the Human Relations Commission. We have one vacancy. We'll start with Kyle Bass. All right. We will move on to the next. We have Mia Belcher. How are you?
Doing well. How is everyone?
Good.
Great. So good afternoon, council members. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to express my passion and the desire for wanting to be a part of the Human Relations Commission. I have a background in human resources. For the last 20 years, I have devoted my professional career and my personal career as well to serving those in the local Greenville community. And so I'm quite excited about the opportunity of being a part of the HR Commission. So just to kind of start off, as a HR manager, one of the things that I was responsible for was implementing a virtual primary care program to assist with health care inequity and accessibility for some of our employees. I worked at Fluor Corporation for almost 15 years, and that was one of the things that was quite important to me, was to make sure that our hourly employees and those craft employees had access to health care, such as those folks who aren't same as our salaried employees. I also made a commitment to promote our mental health resources. There was a very low utilization rate for the men within and Fleur. And so one of the things that we did was make sure that they were aware of all the different resources that were available to them. And once we had a different campaign, mental health campaign, to promote those services and those resources and increase utilization among men by over 30%. One of the other things that I did just throughout the career that really, again, kind of gives me that passion, I served on several different steering committees. One was the growing representation of women, where we advocated for women. We provided them with executive leadership mentors to help provide them with the training and the development skills that they needed to better promote themselves and have opportunities that were traditionally those kind of more or less positions that were typically given to men. So I was a part of that steering committee. And then we also worked a lot with the underprivileged and underdeveloped communities here in Greenville, specifically with high school students, and exposing them to STEM-related type of activities and events, just to kind of make them aware of the different career opportunities that were available out there in the world for those types of folks if they were interested in a career in engineering or mathematics. A lot of those folks in those areas, unfortunately, do not have the resources and unfortunately don't have the exposure to know what they could even possibly be interested in. So it was definitely a passion of mine to get that information out there to those students. Personally, I was a board member for the Julie Valentine Center for almost 3 years. I have always advocated for children with special needs. My son, at an early age of 9, was diagnosed with several different learning disabilities. We were told he'd never be able to answer more than a yes or no question, and he will be submitting his application for graduate school next month. So I'm very, very passionate about helping those students that have special needs. I opened my home to folks, but ultimately just would like to say that I do have a very philanthropic heart. I've always served in community positions where I've been able to give back into the community. 2 years ago, raised over $40,000 as a part of Jack and Jill of America and giving back to the local community, American Cancer Society, Salvation Army, Phyllis Wheatley. So again, I am quite passionate about serving the constituents here in the Greenville County, and I look forward to your further consideration for the Health Relations Commission. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Belcher. And I'm glad she did such a good job as the first person, because I did not give you any instructions, just so I can make sure I do my job. When you come up, you got 3 minutes. Just tell us who you are and what you would like to tell us about your potential appointment. Next, we have Tanya Blassingame.
Tania Blassingame.
Tania. I knew I was going to get one of them wrong. I did it yesterday, too. Hopefully it'll be the one. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Tania Blassingame. Thanks for having me. A little bit about myself. Currently, I am an HR EHS manager for a company in Duncan. Some of the things that I've done previously for the program that we have, I've advanced the EAP program, which we assist associates if they need financial help or if they need any kind of help for mental illness or any kind of housing, things like that. We did have an incident with an employee who not only did I help him at work, but I helped him outside of work also with resources that we had within the county. Currently, I'm on the CBAC board, which is the Clemson Black Alumni Board. I serve as a co-secretary and also a membership on the membership committee. Some of the programs I've also had, which is March of Dimes. I've helped them with the NAMI walks. We co-partnered with them with NAMI, just raising money for maternity, things like that. Some of the things that I've also done, toolboxes given out to employees for resources, whether it's concerning different programs within their county that they can help get assistance with. I think that's about it. Kind of nerve-wracking coming up here.
That's all right.
On 3 minutes.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Try to write everything down, but.
I have a neutral question.
Yes.
Did you apply before for this?
Yes, this is my second time.
Okay.
Not for the Human Relations Board, but I applied for the Library Board before. I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah, thanks for your
you guys-
tenacity. All right,
Thank
and it's
you.
completely neutral, I promise.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very, very
All right.
much.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have Mr. John Cox.
Mr. Chairman, he has reached out to me since I am his representative, and he has given me a statement if you will entertain that.
Sure.
All right. He said, I'm born and raised in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm a graduate of Greenville Senior High Academy, student athlete at Clemson University, Citadel MBA graduate in 2023. My family is all from here. My wife's family is all from here. And because of that, we've seen the growth of this amazing city. I hope that I'm able to be part of this committee and add to its greatness. I'm part of multiple nonprofit organizations like Miracle Hill, MedTech Vets, Marine Raider Foundation, Upstate Warrior Solution, and a volunteer for Tunnel to Towers. I find great pride in my city and all of the people that are in it. I'm sorry that I couldn't make it today, but I'm starting a new job, but I promise to be present in all of these meetings as we move forward. This means a lot to me because I do believe the people make or break organizations, committees, societies, and the world. There are a lot of great people in this city. I just hope to add to this committee's uniqueness and continue to serve in the best and brightest way possible.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, we will move on to the next, which is Elijah McLean. All right. We'll move to the next, which, we'll see if I get this one right. Rochelle Rice. Well, I'll pretend like I got it right. We'll move on to the next, which is Daniel Roberts. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all for allowing me to have this opportunity and chance to speak to y'all. My name is Daniel Roberts, and I'm a former student at North Greenville University, and I have served with them in the community at North Greenville, and I'm also in helping with the Bridge Center and with the local partners with Greenville County and Favor with the local neighborhoods to see what we can do to help the children and the kids to provide safety and stuff. And me and several people in the neighborhood have tried to see what we can do to help each other, to reach out and to make our neighborhood safer by implementing some Crime Watch preventive and other programs for young kids who are troubled as well. And we'd like to see local churches also, because I'm a member at Fellowship Greenville, and they have several programs also involved to get people off the street and to be able to help out and to reach out more to local churches, the fire department, EMS, and what they have also said, as you see, there's a lot of problems and issues with a lot of our young kids today getting into drugs and violence and crime. And as serving here with HR, reaching out to other programs and other partners throughout Greenville County and South Carolina to see what we can do to better help our neighborhoods and the kids as well, and the teenagers with struggling with addiction problems and issues as well. I'll be glad to be more likely to be able to help up and step more to serve here for Greenville County, as well as to do more for the people in the neighborhoods as well, and working with the local partners in the area. And with that, I yield my time. If there are any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we will move along to the next Daniel, which is Daniel Sullivan. All right. And we will round out this one with Lawson Wetley. How are you?
Well, how are you?
Good.
Thank y'all so much for this opportunity to explain why I'm interested in serving and why I hope you'll consider me. I'm invested in the Greenville County community. I've lived and worked here in Greenville County for over 25 years, and I've raised 2 children to adulthood here. This place and the people who live here mean a lot to me. And while I've certainly enjoyed the services that our county has to offer, the schools and the libraries and the parks and so much more, I've also done my best to give back to the community through service, and serving on the HRC board would be another way for me to give back. My understanding is that the Human Relations Commission was created in response to addressing the racial inequalities of the Jim Crow era, and that its mission has expanded since then to serve marginalized people in our community more broadly. This is a mission that I believe in deeply. I think that both moral justice and communal self-interest point us towards ensuring that opportunities are provided to everyone in our community, that we all benefit when a rising tide truly lifts all boats. I have a lot of relevant personal experience. I recently served for 6 years on the board of the Greenville County Redevelopment Authority, which focuses on affordable housing. As part of my volunteer work with the Upstate Mediation Center, I led a community mediation project related to homelessness. And I'm involved in a number of community organizations like the Greenville Branch NAACP that share HRC's focus on increasing access to civic empowerment. I believe that my experience strengthens my ability to serve. Also, I have general skills that I think would make me a good board member. By training as a corporate transactional attorney and as a function of my personality, I'm someone who possesses analytical and organizational skills, as well as the softer skills of empathy and communication. I have served on a bunch of boards now, and I believe that I've always added value to them. Finally, I only seek and take on tasks when I'm prepared to do my best at them. If you select me to serve on this board, I promise you that I will apply myself to that service with energy and enthusiasm. So, if you believe that I am among the applicants who will best further this commission's mission, I hope I will have your support. I thank you for this opportunity and for your service.
Thank you very much. All right, so we have our ballots. We'll go ahead and vote on those, and then we'll move on to the next item.
Well, if I may, Chairman?
Yes, sir.
In the past, and it's nothing, I don't know how to bring this up, but in the past, we have had some issues with attendance at this particular, is that correct? Do we have a current issue of attendance at this particular?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Shaw, you guys received an attendance record, I believe, last month, the end of the first quarter.
That's what I did see that on. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I guess what I wanted to say is that we've got excellent applicants here. Maybe if there are any attendance issues with the current members, we can maybe even make some more openings because these applicants seem very eager to serve and they're excellent. So anyway. I've been there. Probably some of us have been there where we've applied for these boards and didn't get it, and I just don't like to squander that type of interest. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Yes.
Maybe to pick up on it, perhaps at one of our next committee of the whole meetings, we could review it and see if we need to make any motions on any of the applicants. We could look at everybody. But I agree with you. That certainly has been an issue in the past.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
All right. So we will move along as they're tallying those votes to item B, which is Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Advisory Board. We have 2 vacancies, and the first is Deborah Alvarado. Is that correct? My vice chair is asking me if I got your name right. Did I get it right? Welcome.
First of all, thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to be here today. It is the first time that I do it, so excuse me if I'm a little nervous and my accent comes a little bit strong this morning or this afternoon. My name is Deborah Alvarado, and I live, work, play, and serve in Greenville County. I call Greenville home for the past 18 years. Graduated from Mauldin High School, go Mavs. Graduated from USC Upstate, go Spartans, and also go Gamecocks. We often hear that we want community to get more involved in boards and serve, and I feel like I am in a position now where I can do my civic duty that, is not just voting on elections, it is getting involved in the community. So I hope that you take my application into consideration today. Greenville has been home for the past 18 years, as I mentioned, and I can count with one hand how many family members I have in Greenville County. So Parks and Recs have been a huge part of my upbringing here in Greenville, as it is a safe space and environment that has allowed me and my family to meet other people, to play, to be in a safe environment that I not always had back home in Puerto Rico. because of that reason is that I feel so compelling to apply today and to be considered for this position, as I know and I have seen the growth in Greenville County, not only by the development that is happening, but also in the community. I have a very strong background in programs, as I have been working in a local nonprofit, Hispanic Alliance, for the past 18 years, where I implement and execute community programming in different areas. Also, I serve in the South Carolina Children's Theater, where I have been part of numerous boards, such as the Personal Committee, Strategic Planning, and also Programming. Touching base on the programming, if you're all familiar with Hispanic Heritage Month concert that takes place in downtown Greenville and Camperdown Plaza, that normally has over 2,000 people, that is one of the programs that I implement and develop. And I am mentioning that to, say that I do have very strong background in the program, is that I feel I can be an asset to this committee in particular. I'm also passionate about strategic planning, because I believe that is in the one place that we can make a big difference long term, including the voice of everyone that is here, as a resident in Greenville County, but also in South Carolina and our region, as everybody likes to, come to, that Greenville. So I do hope that you take my consideration to be part of this committee, as I have the passion, the motivation, the time, and the community knowledge, so that I can be part of making this Greenville even greater every single day. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. All right, next up, we have Thomas Bates Jr. All right. We'll move on to Emily Dominski. I get that one right? Good. Well, you correct me through the microphone so everybody can hear it.
And that's okay. Nobody gets it right.
What is it? I'm curious now.
Dembski.
Dembski, okay.
Yes.
Got it now. Welcome.
Deborah's going to be hard to follow. That was great. Well, first, I want to say, I work for a local construction company that houses a woodworking shop and an interior design firm. So there's 3 companies. It's very, very diverse by the nature of what we're doing. My job within that family of companies is to represent all 70 employees to our company owner. The purpose of those, and those happen on Tuesday mornings. So Tuesdays are my day to do this. And I feel like today, when I was meeting with the owner and my job is to give him all of the information that I have so that he can make decisions. And I feel like that's what this advisory council is to give you everything that maybe I think and I feel and I've collected from the community so that you can make decisions. So I think that's very relevant, and it makes me excited to do this in this capacity. The people that I represent, so I'm in Human Resources, but I applied for Parks and Recreation because I love Greenville community. I raised my kids here. We did, Mesa, CISA, the pavilions, Pleasant Ridge, Swamp Rabbit, Conisty, all of those. And now I'm an empty nester, and all of those good experiences make my husband and I, when we travel, that's what we want to go do. We want to go see what these other counties have to offer, compare it to Greenville. And it's opened our eyes to so many other opportunities, so many other places. But I bring a unique combination of leadership, a deep commitment to our community. I think that skill set is essential for helping our county's parks, recreation, and tourism programs thrive. I think what would set me apart is my passion for creating spaces, both physical and social, that bring people together, whether it's building processes that empower teams in the community, imagining how a park can better serve families, seniors, and visitors. I can bring both strategic thinking and a heart for service. I don't know if you have our applications. Do you have our applications? So I've mostly served the community in a nonprofit capacity. I love that. I love serving the community. So serving on this advisory board would be a natural extension of what I already do. I listen and I build environments where people flourish. Also, I have season tickets next to Kurt at the Drive, and so I'm so glad he's not here because I would be even more nervous. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next up, we have Connor Mathena.
Mr. Chairman, I know Miss Mathena personally, and she cannot attend because she's on a work trip in San Francisco right now. She offered to do a Zoom interview, but she was denied, so.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
And then I got the next guy too, Coleman Neal.
All right, we'll move to Coleman Neal.
Yeah, his girlfriend's in surgery, so obviously he can't, and he's taking care of her, so he can't show up today.
All right. Do you know Chandler by chance?
No, I don't. That's it.
All right, we'll move on to the next, which is Chandler O'Brien. All right. He just didn't call Frank. All right. Next up, we have Mark Raum. All right. I'm sure I said that one wrong, but we'll move on to the next one. We have Francisco Salazar. All right. Try another one. How about Alex Smith? Well, we have one more in this category, which is Micah Stout. Okay. And Micah has sent a statement that is connected to everybody's, our notes. So with that, we will move to voting. There's 2 vacancies. And while we are collecting those to tally, I will go ahead and make the announcement for the vacancy selection for the Human Relations Commission. And the choice was for Lawson Wetley. So congratulations, and to everybody else that applied. I've said this to every group because we've had so many good people sign up, and it just gets tougher and tougher. But I encourage everybody to apply again because we need good people, and we appreciate everybody's willingness to serve. So thank you.
If I may just add to that, I think Councilwoman Seaman said the same thing. We may have spots opening sooner than later than the 6-month normal thing for that board especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, we're moving on to the next one, which is one of our last longer application group, which is the Planning Commission. So we will get right into it and begin with James Akers. All right. We'll move along to Regina Bailey. All right, how about John Bailey? We have a Bailey. Welcome.
First time being on this side of the microphone. Good afternoon, council members. My name is John Bailey. I live at 892 Anderson Ridge Road on our 11-acre farm with my wife and 2 daughters. I've served on Planning Commission since roughly 2019. With your appointment, I would have a 3rd term and help enforce the current LDR and comp plan and zoning ordinances that are in place that you guys have set forth. My biggest contribution is ability to enforce these without allowing my personal opinions or relationships to influence otherwise. Further, I'd like the opportunity, if appointed to a 3rd term, to work on subdivision setbacks, improving subdivision characteristics for both traffic and setbacks for less than 90 lots, as well as decel lanes for all subdivisions. This would make the future expansion of Greenville County not only possible, but probably cheaper. And for the safety and benefit of your constituents. Those are my 3 ideas that I'd like to be able to work on if given the 3rd term. I'm truly invested in Greenville and passionate about its growth and sustainability. So thank you for your consideration and look forward to serving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mr. Jim Barbary. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Marbury. The planning boards and planning commissions in their quasi-judicial capacity must follow specific procedures and adhere to legal standards to ensure fairness and impartiality. It's not just a good idea, it's the law. Adhering to our land development regulations and zoning ordinance is imperative in our roles. Understanding the LDR and the ZO is a prerequisite. This is not a place to learn as you go or figure it out in a few months. The importance of our roles is why some of us spend many hours reviewing and preparing for our public hearings and making sure that we show up and that we are prepared and we know what is going on. We must be informed and focused on the task at hand and make sure ahead of time that we have reviewed our statutes and followed them to the best of our abilities each time. Recently, I followed some of our neighboring counties in their quest to get a handle on seemingly unfettered growth, and the stories often repeat themselves as their concerns in their areas are traffic and schools, and are often highlighted in those rapid growth cycles. With a county as large and diverse as ours, our issues don't usually have a simple answer. Often, our roles provide us with a different perspective, thereby reminding us this is hard work. But it also, the only way forward, if the process is to truly work for the people. It would be nice if we had the time or took the time to get back into our communities, as we did some years ago, to have town hall style meetings and get community input for our comprehensive plans and our long-range plans. Yes, we would likely get a lot of negative feedback. But hopefully from that, we start to build a bridge of communication that will aid the process for a long term. Citizen input needs to become more important. Citizen-driven initiatives are very important. Gallinsville is a recent effort that we can be proud of. It was a strenuous and difficult undertaking and not for the faint of heart. I'm also concerned that if we keep doing some of the same things that we've done for the last few years and then somehow expect a different result, that we will not have aided our fellow citizens very well. Leadership comes from the top, and delegation of roles and plans with an expectation of measured results should be a priority. From the council to the planning department and the leadership of the planning commission, it should all work together for the better outcome. I'm willing to do my part to make our county even better and a more harmonious place to live. Thank you for your consideration of my reappointment.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Marcus Cannon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Marcus Cannon. Currently work for D.R. Horton. I'm an operations manager. I've been there almost 20 years. I grew up in the Five Forks area, went to school there, lived off Highway 14 for 35 years, just now recently moved to Anderson Ridge Road. I love Greenville. I think I could have some great ideas to help the growth. Our growth has been out of sight. It's just such exponential growth that we've had, and I think we need to do things a little bit different to help with some of our traffic issues and even some of our development issues. I just believe that I could be an asset. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next we have Mr. Ben Carper. Welcome.
I'm Ben Carper, 8 Eastley Road, Taylor, South Carolina, 29687. And Greenville County is the only county I have ever lived in. Born and raised here. And like so many other citizens that I've received feedback from, they are concerned about the unprecedented growth, almost wanton growth that we have in Greenville County. And that puts a massive strain on all of the infrastructure and on housing prices. The ability of young people to buy houses is driven by new development. And I think that I could be a definite asset to the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Forrest Freeman. Hello.
Afternoon. I'm Forrest Freeman. I've been a resident in Greenville County for about 6 years now, next May. Brings me to the point of the growth here. I've been very welcomed here so far, and I can see the potential of it growing more. With that being said, I've vested interest in managing the sustainable growth of the county. It's not slowing down anytime soon, it don't look like to me. With that being said, strategically handling the subdivision zoning infrastructure is very important to me. A lot of developments going on, a lot more houses are being built. That brings traffic. I think that it's something that's on all of our interests to make sure that we're taking good care of as it comes. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't believe Mr. Gilly is here, correct? All right, we'll move on to Ethan Jesniak. Did I get that one wrong too?
It's good, Jed Ziniak.
All right, I'll get there.
Oh,
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ethan Jed Ziniak. I'm a resident of Councilman Farmer's District, District 22. We're going to hear a lot about Greenville's growth and development, and that's obviously a big issue. But there's something that sets me apart, and that's my sort of boots on the ground, everyday interaction with the code, with citizens who deal with the code, and with people who have to go through their lives as a result of Greenville's growth. I'm an attorney in Greenville. I practice at Turner Paget, so I'm 2 blocks that way. I live about 1.5 miles down the road. Primarily, my practice centers a lot on complex real estate issues, land use, and zoning. Every day I work in whether it be the building codes, whether it be county ordinances, zoning, and generally that's where I practice. And because I practice in that scope, I see the issues. I've worked with nonprofits going before the county trying to build a halfway house. I've worked with builders who, because of a setback requirement, have to tear down something they've already constructed. It costs them money and it costs homeowners money. And I've also worked with homeowners. I've worked with homeowners who want to do something on their property and they're told they can't, or they're told they need to go spend money to be able to do it, or they've got a big development coming in their backyard and they just don't like it. And that's a difference that I can bring, is I work with it and I hear citizens, I hear what people in Greenville County really have issues with, and I work within these bounds. And like we talked about, Planning Commission's not somewhere that you need to learn the code. You need to work in it, and I do it all the time, and that's what sets me apart, and that's why I think I'd be a great asset at the Planning Commission. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to comment. Ethan ran against me in the primary, and had I not run, that's who I would have voted for.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on to the next, which is Catherine Knight. Welcome.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you all today. I really appreciate it. I'm a resident, obviously, of Greenville County. I'm an architect. My husband is born and raised here, and I am honored to live here and call it my home. With that, I work with the code, as some of the other candidates have spoken about. I work with it every day. I problem solve with my clients. I try to help them work within the code, within the restrictions of the code. I've sat in front of the Planning Commission here and in other jurisdictions to try to help address some of those things that happen on a site, on a project. So I'm very familiar with the process and how the Planning Commission works and how we can be problem solvers. I'm a problem solver every day with my clients, with my work, through our positions. And so I feel like I would be a good asset to the Planning Commission with those resources and with my knowledge just coming from day to day. I've served on the AIA Greenville, which is the architects chapter here in Greenville. I also serve on the state board as well. So I'm very invested not only in the design community and kind of helping the development here and in a smart and purposeful way, but also being able to kind of make connections within the design and the construction communities, and being able to kind of further that communication on how those things are going, on how the growth is going, and how we can create projects that not only are serving the needs of the person that are on site, but then also how they impact the greater community as a whole. We don't want to approve a project and then have the neighbors hate it. It becomes a noise aesthetic eyesore. So how can we look at those things? And those are things that I feel like I have an eye for, just in my experience being an architect and then working with clients on this side of the table. And I hope to be part of that side of the table as well to help with that. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have John Law.
My name is John Locks. I live at 108 Upper Meadow Way here in Greenville. I'm from Michigan originally. I moved here. I'm a darn Yankee, and I was a contractor for 14 years. So I've done some development as a contractor for other landowners. I've developed some land of my own, and then at a young age, I moved into public sector. So I was a director of public works for close to 17 years. So I've had a lot of experience with development. And I always say there's opportunity in problem solving. And the state of South Carolina has the 9th largest inventory of state roads in the country. So I'm very aware that there's a funding conflict because a lot of the development that takes place in our county has state roads outside of it. So the county, I don't know this factually, but I have to surmise that you don't really have a mechanism to improve what most people identify as growth problem, is that the roads are not being improved in conjunction with subdivisions that are being put in. Now, I actually was a director of public works in Simpsonville, and I was the first public works in the upstate to take roads over from the state. So there is a mechanism in place to work with the state to acquire the funding with roads, but you have to be savvy enough to negotiate the funding when you take the road over. But the first thing a person has to do in order to make those changes is to talk to people face to face and create a relationship and listen to how it would affect them negatively and listen to how it would affect them positively, and then move from there. But aside from that, I've never been a city planner, but I have executed a lot of the wishes of council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Ms. Deborah Manning. Welcome.
I don't have any prepared remarks, so I'll speak from the heart. I want to thank everyone here in the council for appointing me a year ago to the Planning Commission. It is quite an experience, I must say. I will reiterate and talk about what my philosophy has been on the Planning Commission. I'm not anti-development. I'm not pro-development. I am common sense development. And what I found is a lot of confusion with developers. That confusion seems to lie that they think that things that are good in the city are fine in the county. It's not fine in the county. We've done an outstanding job attracting new residents, new people coming in, manufacturing, all kinds of different business. But sometimes we have to realize that the people who choose to live in the city are a different breed of cat than the people that choose to live in the country and in our county. And I want to recognize that. in the next, if I get my appointment, in the next 4 years, I want to work with builders and with developers to see if we can start to mold the subdivisions, because a subdivision in a cluster development might be fine in the city. It's not necessarily fine in the county. So I do believe there seems to be a lot of very confused developers out there that seem to want to keep pressing the cluster developments into pristine forests, into areas that, for example, I noticed that on the mathematics of a cluster development, that they are using retention ponds as considered to be open space. They're using roadways as being open space. That's not open space. I'm sorry, that's an insult. That is not open space. And we're a different breed of cat here in the county of Greenville. I come from California. I love my adopted state. I cannot tell you. And I do want to serve once again because I want to protect that state. I want to be respectful for the people that are already here. I want to be welcoming to the newcomers. And I want to encourage good, solid, common sense development. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next up we have Mr. Kenneth Metasevic. Welcome.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here, and I thank you for this opportunity. I have been coming to Greenville for most of my life. I have family here. I didn't grow up here in Greenville County, but I've had family here. I've been visiting since I was young. I went to Bob Jones University, graduated there. I have lived here in the Taylors area for close to 15 years now. My wife and I love it here. Our standing joke is the next house we buy is going to be a vacation home because we're not going anywhere. It's a great place to be, as others have said. And several years ago, the council appointed me to serve a term on the Board of Zoning Appeals, which I found to be a very good experience. I learned a great deal. I was not much of an expert on things like zoning and what the rules are when I started. I have learned a great deal since then, and I appreciated that opportunity to serve that term. And then last year I ran for office, as many of you know, and in talking to the people of District 20, where I live, I found that there is an immense amount of passion on the subject of development, not just involving Paris Mountain either. They are very much concerned. People are very much concerned about the amount of development that's going on, and they are, I think there's a lot of frustration, quite frankly, because of that. And I would imagine most of your districts, you probably hear similar comments. And in District 20, and again, probably throughout the county, we're seeing the consequences of previous decisions, and some of those consequences have been negative. And I think there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from what has been done in the past, both for good and for bad. And I would like to take that wisdom and put it to use here. Now, if I have the honor of being appointed to the Planning Commission, I can assure you I will be fair-minded. I will be sure to follow the laws and the rules that are set down at the county and the state level. As Ms. Manning said, common sense development is indeed what we need here. I agree with that statement completely. I have no conflicts of interest. I'm an educator. I work for a publishing company. The only real estate I own is the home I live in. I'm not a developer. I have really nothing to do with any of that. So I think I can be fair-minded. I would also, quite frankly, like to see District 20 represented. We have not had a member of the Planning Commission from District 20 in a few years now, and I would like to serve in that way. But ultimately, really, I want to serve the county. It is a great place. I want to keep it a great place, make it a better place. But I think, again, the common sense, smart, law-following, yet common sense abiding decisions that we need to make are what we need to do, and that will be my goal going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mr. James Moore. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jim Moore, long-term resident of Greenville County and a retired engineer from a very large energy company. Greenville County has one of the largest populations in South Carolina and is one of the fastest growing counties in the state and the nation. This is fantastic. I want to keep it that way. It's a great location and family and business friendly. There aren't a lot of places like that. We need to continue to promote growth, and I support the efforts that are underway will improve the quality of life that live here, for the people that live here and plan to come here, because there are people coming here and planning to come here. I'm familiar with the ordinances and land development regulations. In the past, I participated in drafting some of those LDRs, and one of the original authors of the agricultural zoning ordinance, not the one that got approved, but the original one was put together. I support the effort to make the UDO regulations simpler, more concise, and better to understand. I'm not a member of any related real estate groups, so there will not be any conflicts of interest when proposals are brought before the Commission. Over the years, I've lived in and visited several places around the world. When given the choice of where to live, my family chose Greenville County. In our opinion, it's the best place to live, work, and raise a family, and we want to keep it that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, moving to the next, we have Dennis Novia. Welcome.
I won't have a long speech. I'm a retired anesthesiologist. I've been in Greenville since 1989. I worked at Bon Secours for 30-plus years, and I've not been on any planning committees or any other committees in the past. However, I do see the growth here has overcome the road system, like I think most of us have, and I'm here to see if I could offer any insight into the matters that we have going on in the county, and even if we computerize some of the lights, it might make some of these parking lots that we have, that we call roads, maybe a little bit better. And thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mr. William Parham. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I first want to say that I agree with several of the folks here about common sense approach, especially Deborah, and if I had a vote tonight, I'd certainly give it to her. Some of you know me by Corey. That's my middle name, but when I filled out the application, my first name is William, and so I want to thank you all for allowing me to come before you, and I want to thank you for the work you do and the staff. I appreciate the opportunity. And what I'd like to do is give you some additional insights. I'm not going to repeat a lot of what's on my application. It's there for you to hopefully have already read. But I want to talk about who I am, why I'm asking you to select me to serve, and how I would do so. I was born and raised in Anderson, South Carolina, not too far from the Mill Hill where my dad grew up and the farm where my mom was raised. I had family here in Greenville as well as Atlanta. Growing up, we visited both cities often. Even then, I realized the contrast between the two and how very different they were. Greenville had many of the big city amenities, but without all the big city issues. Not long after graduating from Clemson, I moved to Greenville, where I met my wife of 28 years. She is a native and has lived here all of her life. We both love Greenville and raised our children here. Simply put, it is home. And home is something you work to preserve and defend. This is why I applied. Greenville has been growing at an unprecedented rate. I'm not at all opposed to growth, but I do question the rate at which it has been growing and the risk that poses to our quality of life. Everyone talks about the road conditions and traffic. I'm concerned about those, but I'm equally concerned about our other infrastructure and subsystems, such as our water supply, our water quality, our water treatment, stormwater drainage, flooding, which we are having a lot more of, and our air quality. And what about our electrical grid? And what about our schools, medical, fire, police services, crime rates, and sanitation? And where's all of our trash going to go? How is this going to turn out, and how is it going to look 15 to 20 years from now? So, how would my service on the commission look? I'd be an active servant. And what does that mean? I'd be prepared by studying and knowing the bylaws, the zoning ordinance, the LDR, the tree ordinance, state law 629, and I also sat through the entire UDO presentation to the PC last fall. I'll thoroughly review zoning requests against requirements, ask clarifying questions, and be a partner with the council and the PDC. I'll go to visit the sites that are up for review to see the actual traffic, get the lay of the land, and view the surroundings. I'll serve all the people of Greenville County, not just the landowners, investors, and developers. I'll be diligent in following the ordinances and searching for balance between the private property owners' rights and surrounding longtime landowners. I'll listen to both sides. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Next up, we have Hunter Rigsby. All right. We'll move on to the last one of this group, which is Mr. Eddie Sternberg. Welcome, sir.
My last one between you guys eating and.
No, there's a couple more for the food. You're good.
No. I thank you, everyone here from Greenville County, for the opportunity to speak today and put my hat in the ring for Planning Commission. I do like to talk, but I'm definitely not a public speaker. Luckily, the application sums up a lot of what I've done since coming to the upstate. I'm not sure what I disagree with as far as most people spoke ahead of me. I agree with everyone's passion, and I hope they bring the same thing to it. I moved here in 1993 from Columbia. Glad to be from Columbia, glad to be in Greenville, to expand the operations of a small bank. It's amazing to think just at that time, Pelham Road was still 2 lanes. It became 4 lanes a year after I moved here. And in Carisburg subdivision, still had cows grazing on it. So a lot has happened in Greenville County since we moved up here. Greenville, as you know, has been discovered. And with that, we're looking at almost double the amount of population, I think, in the next 2 decades. I saw. The time for smart growth is upon us. We all hate congestion, road decay, everything else that everyone's talked about. I live in an area that still was considered country a while ago, but I'm only 100 yards from the city. We don't have sidewalks anywhere. When you all bring companies here, we need to think about where the employees are going to live. An example of a project, the Gateway Project, obviously it's city, but that sits within county. I've been reading about it every day. My office is across the street from it. 340 apartments, 20 stories, 12,000 square, you guys know all that, followed by 360 parking spots. There's not even enough spots to park, so where's the common sense in that? And one of the things my grandfather used to say is common sense isn't that common, especially with some of the development we've seen around here. As I get closer to the end of my career as a small business owner, I finally got more time to spend on civic matters and would love to be involved in the future of the town. I work well in groups and as an individual. Been an arbitrator for the BBB for 37 years now, and I was picked to be the first arbitrator of the year for the upstate, which covers the 10-county area. And as an arbitrator, I had to make tough decisions, which usually one party's not going to agree with, or I would help get them talking and find some common ground. And if I don't have to make a decision, that was great. Usually there's a root cause of that. I'm an active volunteer at Meals on Wheels. For over 30 years, I've held about every position you can as a Rotarian. Been a small business owner since 1998, so I'm used to short-term and long-term planning. As a son of a small local builder, ever since I had my keys, which I thought would be fun, but I schlepped stuff all around town for my dad since I was probably 16 years old. And finally, as a dual degree holder from both Clemson and USC, I am used to hearing all sides of an issue. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'll yield it for one more second.
Thank you very much. All right, so we have our ballots. Get those ready, and while we're doing that, I will go ahead and announce the choices for Parks, Rec, and Tourism. For this one, there were 2 vacancies, and the selections were Miss Deborah Alvarado and Miss Emily Dembski. I did say it right that time, I hope. So congratulations to those, and just like I echoed earlier, I encourage everybody to continue to apply for these positions, because I love seeing the room full of people excited to get involved. It's just tough because we have so many good ones this time. And that was Counselor Tripp, correct? So Counselor McGahee is with us, and Counselor Tripp was here with us as well until just recently. So I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge that for the record. All right, we will move on while they're tallying those votes up to item D, which is Greenville County Redevelopment Authority. There's one vacancy, and we have Deandra Wilson. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Deandra Wilson to the vacancy.
Thank you very much. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move on to item E, which is South Carolina Technology and Aviation Center Board SC TAC. There's one vacancy. First up, we have Asia Johnson. Welcome.
How are you guys?
Good.
Thank
How are you?
for the amazing opportunity to be able to interview for the board of directors. I am simply a military brat and a servant leader. I would love to serve on the board. SCTAC, as you know, is a combination of city, county, and county council, making that prestigious space to give 110 vendors their business development and plans. And I would like to see the future of it not only be the F-16 of Lockheed Martin, but for air traffic control, which I know that is we're on the precipice of something amazing to be able to answer that. I'm a former airline employee. I know very well the nuances of aviation and technology, and I yield my time unless you have any questions for me.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. And then the last one of this group is Henry McCullough. All right. So we will do the ballots on that, and we will go ahead and get started on the last agenda item, well, second to last agenda item, which is item F, Zoning Board of Appeals, or BZA. We have one vacancy, and first we have Miss Lisa Bracewell. Welcome.
I want to thank you for your time of hearing me today, and I appreciate the opportunity to interview, to be on this board. My address is 4108 Highway 414 in Landrum. I've lived in Greenville County all my life. And I love the county, I love the area. My family's been involved in farming and that type of thing all my life, so it's really a wonderful part of my history. I'm a graduate of Blue Ridge High School, and I have a business degree. I worked with human resources with Greenville County Schools for 28 years. So I have dealt with a lot of committees and boards and things of that nature, and been involved with a lot of people. And I love people, and I love working with them, and I love making sure that the county is what it should be, what it needs to be. I know that growth is important, and I know it's going to grow, and I want to see it grow responsibly, because we have got a lot of growth, but our infrastructure is just not what it needs to be. In the outlying areas of the county, there are a lot of farmers with tractors and this type of thing, and the roads are just not ready for all the development and the farmers too on the roads. So we definitely need to work on our roads. And I believe in transparency and honesty, and I want to make sure, and I will bring that to the board if I am appointed. A couple of things that I'm involved in. I do not have any real estate experience, so let me go ahead and state that off the bat, okay? I do serve on the Greenville County Sheriff's Advisory Council. I'm a member of the Greenville County Republican Women and the Upstate Republican Women. I'm enrolled in the Citizens Academy at the moment, going through and enjoying it greatly. I am a member of the Greenville County Emergency Response Team, and I assisted Greenville County Emergency Response during Hurricane Helene and the recent fires. So I'm involved a lot in Greenville County because I love working with the county, love learning about the county, and helping where I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, and last of this group we have is Michelle Slade. Okay, I believe that Ms. Slade had put a letter in our box, if anybody had a chance to see that ahead of time. All right, so we will go ahead and announce the totals, or we will announce the applicants who were selected for the Planning Commission. Again, we had a huge group of highly qualified people. Can't overstate that. But the three top vote totals, which will have a seat, is Miss Deborah Manning, Mr. Kenneth Metasevic, and Mr. William Parham. So again, especially with something as important as Planning Commission, we need the best people possible, so I encourage everybody to apply again if possible, and appreciate you coming and offering your service to the county. With that, oh, sorry, I was getting ready to adjourn before we nominated the last couple. Sorry about that. Just give us just a moment.
Just as a point of curiosity, Mr. Chairman, can we raise hands who are on the Planning Commission? Any council members on Planning Commission? How about all council members who are on any kind of board before council? Yeah. The only reason I say that is I think there might be Yes, there might be a misconception that, you know, these things are great for running for office. They are, but hey, a lot of us didn't have that, so just wanted to bring that point up.
I will also say to you, I did not get appointed my first time around.
That's what I'm saying here. BZA, I think I was a couple times for BZA. I didn't get appointed, so that's good to hear, Ms. Seaman.
Absolutely.
I don't want to interrupt the counting, but it did seem like this time around we had a very high number of no-shows. And just curious whether or not, maybe I'll wait toward them, but like whether or not those people actually told, like I know some people told us they couldn't come or wrote us emails, but it seems like we had a lot that had no communication this time. We can just.
Also making that one meeting requirement more prominent maybe in the application. Seems like a lot of.
I was also wondering if we could extend the go to a meeting until the interview day, because that would open the window a little bit longer. And as we know, like some of them don't meet in this first quarter. So I do think there's something we could maybe tweak with that as well.
Yeah, I believe that's
agree.
what happened with one of the commissions was that the timing of their meetings didn't line up with somebody actually being able to attend one before the next application cycle. But yeah, that would be a good idea. right, so I will go ahead and announce the choice for the SC TAC, and I do want to say that this one was super close, very close, but the selection was Mr. Henry McCullough. All right, and then to complete these for the evening, the final board was the Board of Zoning Appeals, and we have Miss Lisa Bracewell. All right, so again, thank you to all the applicants. Thank you for everybody taking the time. I know this for some people is a very long meeting, but we appreciate it very much. And with that, I will entertain a
Motion to
final
adjourn.
motion. All in favor? Good enough.